Good morning, students. This is lecture number 6 for lesson number 7, Evans Tries NO Level, written by Colin Dexter for class 12th, subject English, book Vistas. Children, as you have already attended 5 lectures of this chapter, and today is your last lecture of this lesson number 7, in which we shall complete the reading and explanation of the chapter from page number 90 to 91, and then I shall make you complete the question answers of the chapter. I'll be discussing all the textual exercise question answers with you today in this lecture only. And before proceeding with page number 90, I shall recapitulate what I taught you in lecture number 5. So let's begin this lecture with the recapitulation of lecture number 5. Children, in last lecture we got to know that the actual McClary, who was a parson in St. Mary Mag's, was found tied up in his study. Right? As I taught you, he left his quarter, his bachelor's flat in Broad Street at 8:45, right, in order to reach the prison. But when all this episode happened of Ivan's escape from HM prison, then by the prison officers, actual McClary was found and he was tied up by someone in his study. So the mystery revealed that the actual McClary did not reach the prison, but that was some fake McClary, right, who came to conduct examination of Evans in the cell. Then I taught you that Evans reached the reception of Golden Lion Hotel, right, and there he found the receptionist was not as the one at the time of booking, but he thought that the change was better, right. He instructed the receptionist not to bother for his breakfast because he told her that the next day would be another busy day for him and gave him a call in the morning as he had to leave early. Then Evans was thinking all the moments of his examination that how he could be caught, but he somehow saved himself and he managed everything with the help of McClary, who was fake. Okay, that was not real McClary, and how he helped him in the smooth conduct of the examination as well as the smooth planning of his escape. Then Evans entered his Golden Lion Hotel's room. There he got shocked to see the governor sitting in his room and waiting for his arrival. Then Evans got shocked and sat on a chair, and he was holding his head with his hands because he was badly shocked that the governor was already sitting in the room and waiting for his arrival. Then the governor told him that it was all the correction slip that led him to visit the hotel. And this Evans asked how did they get to know that he would stay in this hotel Golden Lion, as there are hundreds in that area. Then they said your index 313 center number 271. If it is checked in the map of Oxfordshire, then it locates the same hotel where they were sitting now. Then the governor asked Evans about the blood. He said that everything I could understand you managed, but how did you arrange for the blood? And then Evans only explained him why the blood wasn't hardened. He said that was actually the blood in semi-inflated rubber ring that was collected from pig slaughter's house. That was pig's blood. Okay, and they got it from the slaughter's house, and some chemical was mixed in it. Therefore, the blood did not get hardened. Till here I taught you, and now what we concluded in lecture number 5, that Evans is again caught by the governor of HM prison. Children, now we will read on page number 90, in which we'll read Evans was taken in the police van and governor asked him how he planned all his escape. Right, I am reading somewhere in the mid of page number 90. Tell me, Evans, how did you manage to plan all this business? You have had no visitors. I have seen to that. You have had no letters. I have got lots of friends, though. What is that supposed to mean? Me, German teacher for a start. You mean? But he was from the technical college, was he? Evans was almost enjoying it all now. Ever check up on him, sir? God Almighty, there is far more going on than I. Always will be, sir. Everything ready? Asked the governor as they stood by the reception desk. The van is out the front, sir, said the pretty blonde receptionist. Evans winked at her and she winked back at him. It almost made his day. A silent prison officer handcuffed the recaptured Evans. Handcuffed means shackled, right? He was shackled as he was recaptured, and together the two men clambered. Clambered means climbed awkwardly into the back seat of the prison van. See you soon, Evans. It was almost as if the governor were saying farewell to an old friend after a cocktail party. Cheero, sir. Yes. I just wondering. I know your German's pretty good, sir. But do you know any more of these modern languages? Not very well. Why? So what we studied here in this lecture, in this text, that governor asked him how he planned his escape, as he had no visitors or letters for him in the prison. And to which Evans replied that he had many friends. Even his German teacher was his friend. Governor surprisingly said that the teacher was from technical college. Evans questioned whether he had over verified it. Whether he had ever verified it, that he was from a technical college. That was the friend of Evans who was visiting him since September, and all this was the planning going on between both of them, and he was arranging everything silently outside the prison for Evans and his escape. Then the receptionist said that the van was ready outside. Both Evans and the receptionist winked at each other. Evans was then shackled, right? He was handcuffed by the prison officer, and they both climbed the van. The governor said bye in the way as he was bidding him farewell. Evans asked him whether he knows any other language. The governor asked him the reason behind this. Right? Because Evans was giving another challenge to the governor that it is better that next time when I am caught, I am in jail, I will be demanding to study some other language, and then I'll be again planning my escape. The governor was thinking why he asked this question. But the governor did not go with Evans to the prison in order to put him behind the bars. But somewhere in the middle, right on the way, the governor bid him bye, and he said, now you go. He left Evans with the prison officers in prison van. Now children, we are reading the last text on page number 91. Evans settled himself comfortably on the back seat and grinned happily. Grinned means laughed foolishly. Nothing really. I just happened to notice that you have got some O-level Italian classes coming up next September, that's all. Perhaps you won't be with us next September, Evans. James Roderick Evans appeared to ponder the governor's words deeply. No, perhaps I won't, he said. As the prison van turned right from Chipping Norton on the Oxford Road, the hitherto silent prison officer unlocked the handcuffs and leaned forward towards the driver. For Christ's sake, get a move on. It won't take them long to find out. Where do you suggest we make for? Asked the driver in Broad Street Scots accent. What about Newbury? Suggested Evans. Now you see, who finally won? What we have read in these lines. Evans sat back on the seat comfortably and happily, and replied that he asked so because he came to know that there will be O-level Italian classes coming up next September in the jail. The governor assured him that he would not be with them by September. Evans thought for a while and then said, you may be. Soon the van turned right from the Chipping Norton onto the Oxford Road, and the silent prison officer removed his handcuffs and asked the driver to drive fast. The driver asked about where to go in the Scot accent. Evans suggested them to go to Newbury. At last, Evans was able to escape once again with the help of his friends who were now pretending to be prison officers and the driver. So who had finally won the battle of wits, the battle of intelligence? It is Evans only, because the governor had again lost the battle. It was the duty of governor to go and drop him to the prison and lock him behind the prison bars. Right? But what he did, he bade him bye-bye somewhere on the way and asked the prison officers to take him to the HM prison. But those were also the friends of Evans, and they removed his handcuffs somewhere in the middle and then bid him bye and told the driver to drive very fast. And Evans again was able to escape. Right? Because those officers were also pretending. They were not real officers, but they were Evans' friends. Right? So now finally in the battle of wits, it was a battle of intelligence between Evans and the governor, and it was for sure Evans who had won it, and finally he made his escape possible. Now we shall proceed towards the textual exercise. Children, you have 5 questions in number reading with insight on page number 92. The very first question there is, reflecting on the story, what did you feel about Evans having the last laugh? What was his last laugh? Did you realize? So reflecting on the story, what did you feel about his last laugh? So here we need to understand the meaning of having the last laugh. Actually, children, having the last laugh symbolizes gaining victory over someone's rival towards the end. Right? So having last laugh symbolizes gaining victory over one's rival towards the end. And here it is, what did we feel about his last laugh? Evans was a cunning person who smartly devised his plan to escape from the jail. He kept on misleading the police and the governor with false evidences so that nobody could reach him. When the governor tracks him in the hotel and feels satisfied about his being able to catch his prey, Evans makes up another plan to escape, and this he did again with the help of his friends who impersonate as the prison officers and the driver. Your question number 2 is, when Stephens comes back to the cell, he jumps to a conclusion and the whole machinery blindly goes by the assumption without even checking the identity of the injured McClary. Does this show how hasty conjectures can prevent one from seeing the obvious? How is the criminal able to predict such negligence? So this is quite evident, quite proved from this story. When Stephens comes back to the cell, he sees McClary lying in a pool of blood. He was badly hit on his head and the blood was dripping on his beard and clothes. Stephens was a new recruit, right? He recently joined this profession. He was not having much experience of such tricks, and so when he saw an injured man in the cell, he, instead of paying attention to the identity of the injured person, mistook him as to the real McClary because he got panicked. The blood that was bleeding badly had panicked Stephens, and he did not bother for the real identity of the injured person. He at once came to the conclusion that he escorted Evans to the gates, so the story spread like that, and everyone else in the prison also believed it to be so. So Evans was, being a cunning criminal, knew the weakness of all the officers. That is why he knitted his plan in such a way that things went well, all in his favor. Right? He was very smart. He knew their mentality, and he, played the trick in such a manner that he got successful in the plan and made his escape possible. He knew that Stephens was very new He did not have much experience, and he knew that he would get, panicked also very soon when he sees the blood. So therefore he planned all the things in such a way that nobody ever asked a question that if he had dropped McClary outside, then why McClary again is lying injured? How can it be possible that the person who had been just dropped outside the prison gate is found again lying injured in the cell? How was that possible? So they did not bother to check the real identity of the injured person, but they started singing the song that Stephens had dropped the wrong person outside. Now we shall proceed to question number 3. What could the governor have done to securely bring back Evans to prison when he caught him at the Golden Lion? Does that finally act of foolishness really prove that he was just another good for a gullible governor? That was all. So the answer to this question can be written: in order to correct all the previous mistakes, the governor should have accompanied Evans himself to the prison. Because the governor knew that was oversmart fellow. He was very cunning. So it could be his duty to accompany him to the main prison. But he again trusted the prison officers who were fake. And the driver, they all were none other than friends of Evans. This was not his first mistake. He had done such mistakes in the past too. For example, he never verified about the German teacher who was later found to be Ivan's friends and who was coming to the jail since September to teach him German. He never tried to verify about the identity of the teacher who was coming to teach German in the cell to his prisoner. He never bothered, right? And not even McClary, who was one of the Ivan's friends. He did not bother. He did not inform Stephens or Jacksons that he was not able to track Evans through the correction slip. In order to show himself the smartest person, he thought of taking the whole situation in his own hands and took his friends to be the real prison officers and the driver without even verifying their identity and let Evans escape once again. So yes, we can say that he was good for a giggle. Children, now we will discuss question number 4. While we condemn the crime, we are sympathetic to the criminal. Is this the reason why prison staff often develop a soft corner for those in custody? Yes, it's right. This is the answer. Yes, it's right that everyone condemns the crime. But when we see a criminal bearing the punishment, our perception towards him changes. So is with the prison officers, who with the passage of time develops a soft corner for them. This can be seen in the story as well. Jackson, who was a very strict officer, also let Evans wear his bobble hat because he considered it to be his lucky charm. Right? Wherever Evans was very tricky person who had already discovered the emotional side of the Jackson. Right? And Evans was very tricky sort of person who understood the mentality of all the prison officers very well, and he was playing a very dirty game on their back very smartly. Now we are proceeding to the last question, that is, do you agree that between crime and punishment it's mainly a battle of wits? Wits means intelligence. So there is no doubt, children. Yes, we can say so. If we go by the story, we all know that each battle is won by the strong person. In the story, the whole war was based on the mental ability and not the physical ability. The prison officer had taken away all sorts of weapons from Evans so that he may not find any way to escape. But Evans used his tricky brain and managed to escape. So definitely, there is no doubt we agree to this statement that between crime and punishment, it is mainly a battle of wits that wins. Who is more intelligent will definitely win. And every time, it is the strongest person who is winning the battle. Right? The battle actually is won by the stronger side. Strength could be physical or mental, but it is the battle of strength that matters, and the stronger one always wins. And the same has happened in the case of Evans, the prisoner and governor of HM prison. So children, this is the end of your lecture. Now we will proceed towards homework. There is no doubt that children, you enjoyed reading this chapter and you took much interest in understanding the facts behind the escape of Evans, which were beautifully explained. It was full of mysteries that all the children enjoyed listening to the lectures also. And now we will proceed towards homework. It is read the complete chapter for better understanding and answer the questions, the discussed questions. They are 5 in number in your Fair English notebook. You are supposed to answer all these discussed questions in your Fair English notebook and don't forget to learn them too. Right? Learn and write all these questions, and then you people are supposed to post me your homework also. Till then, thank you. Have a nice day.